Good afternoon and welcome to We Believe Digital Studios for our twice a week 12 noon news break show. Chris Young with you, and I've got a whole bunch of stories lined up to different topics to share with you. We got 84 degrees and mostly clear skies in downtown Jackson today. Looked like it's going to be clear through the weekend. Then again, it looked like that leading into Memorial Day weekend. And the first day of the weekend, we had plenty of rain. So who knows? But we're just keeping an eye on that. And got some interesting stories. I hope that you'll find maybe stuff that you're not hearing right off the top of a lot of different broadcasts. But you know, the presence of the U.S. in the Persian Gulf and Middle East and stuff has always been large, but recently, just yesterday, the United Arab Emirates has said that pardon me, that was first thing this morning, according to Reuters news service, is no longer taking part in the operations by the U.S.-led task force protecting the shipping in and around the Persian Gulf. You remember I've told you before about Iranian militant groups seizing tankers, and the United Arab Emirates, a close ally, is saying they're no longer going to participate in that task force, which has seen renewed tanker seizures by Iranian naval forces in recent weeks. So they're not satisfied with what the U.S. has been doing. Tankers are still being seized, and so their response to that is, hey, we're no longer going to be part of that task force. I find that to be really interesting statement. We'll see if it holds true. The Wall Street Journal had written on this topic also. They say they're frustrated by the lack of U.S. response to recent seizures. So apparently they're looking for us to do things that we're not quite doing. The U.S. wants to work on keeping that sea lane open. I think I've reported before on this program that over 30% of the world's oil comes out of the Arabian Gulf. And so keeping those sea lanes open has a huge impact worldwide. But you have these bad actors, in this case from Iranian naval forces, and the UAE very concerned that the U.S. is not doing enough. And of course, they're an extraordinarily wealthy nation. So I wonder what they've been doing or what they're going to do instead. So we'll just have to see how that goes. Also, out of Ghana, a hugely celebrated author and playwright, Ghanaian Ama-Ata Abdu has died at age 81. She's authored 3 different books, all critically acclaimed. If by chance you'd like to learn more about that, I've seen lots of footage of things going on in Ghana, and it doesn't seem to reflect what we hear. So often the U.S. perception that's relayed through the media, it wants to present African countries in a negative light, certainly there are some that, the civil war and oppressive activity going on, but that's not the case for the whole continent. And so, but if you want to look her up and learn more, her name is spelled A-M-A, middle name A-T-A, last name A-I-D-O-O. Died of natural causes at 81. Celebrated author and playwright from Ghana. According to the U.S. military, Chinese pilots crossing very, very close, 400 feet off the front of a U.S. Air Force plane in the surveillance plane in the South China Sea. So, and again, we've talked about things like that before on this broadcast. The things can get really, really dicey. When you're traveling at high speeds and at certain altitudes and in close proximity, to other aircraft, and it's just really risky behavior. Now, was it an accident or was it intentional? Who knows? Because obviously it would have had consequences for both sides if they were to collide. So, but it appears that it's being viewed as provocation. So we'll see. And the tensions between the China and U.S. continue to rise. So things like this, all they do is help elevate the distress that's going on. Hopefully it can wind up with a happy ending, but I don't think so. It seems like they're intent on being the world power. Wildfires in Halifax, and it really caught my eye. The smoke is getting down into the northeastern United States cities, and I've got people up in Nova Scotia. Halifax is in Nova Scotia, and they 200 homes in the last week. 200 or 5 to 6 days, the last 200 homes have been evacuated in Halifax. Over 2,000 acres burned. In the neighboring province, that's called New Brunswick, 400 homes evacuated. Just the way the weather patterns are going, the smoke and all, people are very concerned. And again, the smoke is showing up in Portland, Maine, and Boston, and Hartford, and New York City. Just hellacious wildfires going on. So that's it on the global front. And we'll shift down into the U.S. a bit. This whole debt ceiling situation. In the last 60 years, the Democrats have raised the debt ceiling 29 times. In the same period of time, the last 60 years, the Republicans have raised the debt ceiling 49 times. But they sure have a fight going on right now. And, while it appears that sometime over the weekend or the beginning of the weekend or something along those lines, it appears that President Biden and the Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, kind of came to some agreement in principle about raising the debt limit. Failure to do so at this stage of the game is catastrophic. But there's a lot of people that are still fighting it, that are underneath that. So apparently there's a lot of Republicans in the House. They're very concerned about it getting through the House. They're not as concerned about getting it through the Senate. And so we'll find out more about the details as this goes on. June 1st is tomorrow, and the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has said that June 6th is like the the kind of the terminal date. Got to have a decision, or the U.S. begins to go into default on June 6th. So 6 days away. They believe that a vote in the House can happen tomorrow. There's discussion going on today, vote on tomorrow, and hopefully get to the Senate over the weekend. And if it goes through, it'll be with just a couple of days to spare on this deadline. So we have to keep an eye on that. There's lots of people going to be pleased with some of the agreement, some of the concessions made. Other people are not. One of the things that does look positive is there's going to be an opening for student loans once again. So we'll see. But one of the things that looks like it's going to be hurtful to people that are poor has to do with SNAP benefits and work requirements. Looks like they're going to be ratcheted up again, just like they were in 1994 in the Clinton administration. So we'll have to take a look at that and see what happens. Also, interesting report about Dollar General. Dollar General Dollar General is expanding at the rate of 1,000 stores per year in this country. And you know what's going on there. As much as a lot of people don't want to say it out loud, we're a country of haves and have-nots. I do my grocery shopping at the Walmart. I can't do my grocery shopping at the Kroger. Now, some of that has to do with my choices, but, and so you get these Dollar Generals that are popping up. And, while some people going into Dollar General or Family Dollar or whatever the different first cousins are, they might be going in there for a snack. But a lot of people, they're going there for their meal. So, and there's a lot of shootings going on. So there's concern by the workers. You have this company, this multi-billion-dollar company that's expanding at such a huge rate, and they're only doing that because they're making more and more money. But people are getting killed in those stores. Since 2014, there have been 49 people killed in Dollar General stores. Since 2014, 49 people killed, 172 injured, according to data from the nonprofit group Gun Violence Archives. These are the people to listen to. They detail every time there's gun violence in America. And the Dollar General workers asking for more safety measures. And who could blame them? So sad goings on there. And then we have this South Carolina story. 14-year-old boy, black boy, this time killed by a Asian man. 58-year-old Asian man at a gas station in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, this 58-year-old Asian man, Rick Chow, well, he got it in his head that this 14-year-old, whose name has been released, Cyrus Carmack Belton, he got it in his head that this 14-year-old had shoplifted. None of the footage in the store supports that the young man had shoplifted. Apparently, at one time, he took 2 bottles of water out of the cooler, but the video clearly shows that he put it back. So he mistakenly believed that the young man had shoplifted. He followed him outside the door, and he shot him in the back. Shot him dead. 58-year-old Asian man, Rick Chow, shooting 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton dead because he thought he was shoplifting. Shot him in the back, killed him. And Mr. Chow is now charged with murder, as he should be, in Columbia, South Carolina. CNBC reporting that several Chinese apps, including TikTok just one of them, there's several out there, and this company ByteDance, continuing a booming business in the USA despite these security concerns. Back in March, they had the CEO of TikTok, ByteDance, answering questions before Congress. Just last week or 10 days ago or something, Montana banned the use of the app. The state of Montana have no idea how you're going to enforce that. But so you got all these security concerns by elected officials and others about these Chinese apps that garner so much attention, and yet business is booming. So I think that tells you that the American people, they're taking part, and they're not as concerned about the security as some others. So we have to keep an eye on that, see what's going on with that. TikTok. I think I do have an account, but I don't think it's like a personalized. I think I just got a quick, there was something I wanted to see one day or something like that, and got a user account. So maybe I'll go back and fill that out and put a profile, and maybe I just delete it. I don't know. So So we've run out of time for the first segment. We'll take a break here and show you a couple of commercials, a couple of ads, people here supporting the We Believe Digital Studios and our growth here in Jackson, our African-American owned and African-American operated studio. And then we'll be right back with you.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
The Mississippi Link is an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth, since 1993. Link significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippilink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back to We Believe Digital Studios Newsbreak Show. Once again, another day passes in Mississippi with no Republican legislators holding any kind of hearings on the TANF scandal. More and more stories. Now, we'll get into one of those here in a little bit, but more and more information coming out on this TANF scandal. But the powers that be in the Republican Party, you know, the three top folks, elected leaders in the state, and the supermajority of Republican legislators, not one of them has stepped forward and demanded hearings on the TANF scandal. Not one of them. And you know, they're in charge when all this money was embezzled from the poorest families in the intended for the poorest families in the state of Mississippi. So not much of a culture of life. You know, they claim a culture of life here in Mississippi, these Republican legislators, the whole Roe decision and all that. They claim a culture of life. But you know, when you're letting new mothers die for lack of insurance, poor mothers, and when you're letting families suffer even more by pilfering the money that was intended to help them as a safety net for them from the federal government, that's not a culture of life, is it? So along those lines, too, the Census Bureau released a new report on poverty in the U.S. Within the next couple of weeks, the Mississippi Link will be doing a story related to that report. And sure enough, no surprise, Mississippi remains the highest poverty rate in the entire nation. They saying 24.1% of the state in poverty, meeting the definitions for poverty, the highest in the entire nation. The next closest is New Mexico, just barely below 3 percentage points less than us, still above 21%. So, and the saddest news of all, that this report, what they really focus on is not just today, they focus on the last 30 years ending in 2020. So for the last 30 years, Mississippi been the poorest state in the country. Poverty well exceeding or sitting right on the crest of 25%. 1 in 4 people in Mississippi living in poverty. The dates for the 164th Mississippi State Fair have been set. So those dates are Thursday, October 5th through Sunday, October 15th. And I know one guy that's going to be researching when they do the entertainment release of the who's going to be doing the entertaining. I'm going to go through that entire list, and I'm going to report back to you at the Mississippi State Fair, where we have 40% of our population is African American, and I'm going to tell you exactly how many performers they have lined up and how many of those are, especially are African American versus the stone cold white. Now, some black people may like some of that music. I know plenty of people that like some of that other music, but it just seemed to me like there ought to be some some balance in all that. So I can't wait to report that to you. The full list hasn't been released yet, but I promise you we'll get that back to you. We'll try to put a little pressure on Andy Gibson and his staff over there, the genuine Mississippi Andy Gibson and his staff over there. The Andy Gibson that does not show up for the black rodeo. He doesn't show up to embrace, the Commissioner of Agriculture doesn't show up to embrace the black rodeo when the black rodeo comes to town. But when the other rodeo comes to town, he's over there gripping and grinning, riding the horses, rolling out the ATVs and everything, having the time of his life. What do you think of that? Big shock, huh? I saw a report from WJTV this morning. Financial documents show that there's no sign that Tate Reeves has fulfilled his pledge to give away campaign donations from people that was charged with the misspending from the theft of the welfare money in the state's largest public corruption case. All kinds of people gave him money, and he said, no way, we're going to put that in a special account. We're not going to touch it, blah, 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 during the campaign pledges that he made. But every so often when you're running this campaign, you got to submit financial documents, and there's no evidence of that anywhere in those documents. So JTV got a hold of that, Freedom of Information reports and so forth. So not fulfilling the promises. And it's not just not fulfilling one promise. It's the idea that you're not fulfilling a promise on this horrible, horrible scandal that happened when you were sitting in one of those top two seats over there at the Capitol, lieutenant governor and then governor, where you stealing American taxpayer money and using it for your selfish gains, taking it away from the poorest people in Mississippi, and you pledged to not take that money, but so you're lying on top of one of the worst scandals in Mississippi history, that evidence over time may bear out that you were directly involved with. Who knows? Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. We'll see. Mississippi Today, the 7-year-old growing fearless news outlet, Mississippi Today, requested some public records from the institutions of higher learning. These are the people that get to divvy up the funding for the schools in Mississippi. So recently after they fired Dr. Hudson over at Jackson State, they conducted these listening sessions. So these IHL board members were over there conducting these, going to listen to the faculty, listen to the alumni, listen to the public, see what they have to say about, finding a new president for Jackson State, the I love. So come to find out, they requested their board members' notes, and they had to give up the notes. You never know if they gave up all of them, but they gave up some of them. And you'd be interested to know that some of the comments, some of the notes that they took was not showing a lot of love for the I love. How about that? So please go to MississippiToday.org, and they're a great paper. They put a electronic paper, putting out stories on a daily basis with a lot of research. They now have a journalistic staff of 17, I was reading, over there, so they've come a long way. And a lot of people in the state are looking at them like, a real authority, generally speaking, on what's really going on in Mississippi. So if you're interested in the funding for state schools, if you're interested in the work of the Institutions for Higher Learning, their board of directors, please go to MississippiToday.org to check that out. On the local Jackson Hines level, a young man by the name of Benjamin Cummins, Cummins, of Ida B. Wells APAC, was one of only 55 students in the United States and its territories that won his it's the competition called Doodle with Google. So obviously Google sponsored it, and this Doodle with Google, and his entry was called Honeybees. And this young man from Ida B. Wells APAC, one of 55 in the country to win this award. And there's going to be some good stuff coming with that. So we're so proud of Benjamin Cummins. God, Ariel, we wish we could get him in here and promote him right here on We Believe Digital. Let the world see his face and pat him on the back in a big way. Come on in, Benjamin Cummins. Give us a call at 1-800-492-5186. We'll sit you right here in this chair and let everybody see what a fine young man you are. More in Jackson Hines County. 2 shootings over the holiday weekend. Plenty of bullets fired, two primary shootings, one at Lynch Street and Highway 80, and then no fatalities there, but injuries. And then fatality at the Texaco on Northside Drive. And I stop in there at least every other week to that Chinese food place at that Texaco on Northside, but a fatal shooting there. Sad, sad, sad. More sadness, too. Earlier in the month, two students from Forest Hill. These were students set to graduate and shot and killed earlier this month. Their names are Gabriel Warren and William Ransberg. All kinds of good reports about these 2 young men. Don't have the circumstances. The principal over there, Torrey Hampton, said that he knew those students well. Just to lose 1 scholar, let alone 2, in a 2.5-week span, and both of them were graduating. They were in the same class. Hit everyone really hard over there at Forest Hills. Hampton described both as having bright futures. Warren had plans to join the Marines after graduation. In fact, the Marine Corps has recently said that they're reviewing an opportunity to open up a scholarship with his name because he spent about 4 months speaking on and off to the Marine Corps recruiter, and the Marine Corps recruiter, of course, got to know him pretty well, and just talk about what a salt-of-the-earth young man this guy was, and he's checking to find out if the Marine Corps can offer an annual scholarship bearing the name of Gabriel Warren. Wouldn't that be beautiful? And that all comes to us via WAPT. And I think the last couple of stories here on the local front, we got a new interim police chief. James Davis has resigned after, I believe, a little over 5 years on the job. And the interim chief, Joseph Wade, who everybody knows down here, announcing his department is starting a new program to keep kids safe and off the streets over the summer. So parents and kids, get on that JPD website, call up down there, get the details. The Youth Citizens Police Academy. Wouldn't that be something? They're going to hold 2 camps this summer. I didn't say how long the camps are, but 2 different camps. So, hopefully that would be a really good fit for your family, for your youth and your family, and give those young people something to do for certain periods of time during these camps, and give them some exposure to things that they might not know about before, and things that they can learn and interact with some JPD officers, and be a great learning experience. So get on the phone or get on the internet, JPD, the Youth Citizens Police Academy. Weeks after the final story for today, weeks after a civil rights investigation into the Mississippi MDEQ, Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, it was expected to wrap up, but lo and behold, they found some stuff, and it remains ongoing. WLBT got a hold of an email exchange through an open records request, states the investigation has uncovered, quote, clear concerns, unquote. These are clear concerns by the EPA, by the national, the Environmental Protection Agency, has clear concerns about Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, whether the agency has implemented safeguards to prevent discrimination in the distribution of federal sewer system funding. So, you just got to stay on these people, and thank God in this case, WLBT, God knows how much money they spend putting out these open records requests, public records requests, but if we didn't do that, if they didn't do that, how would we know? We don't know what's going on. So here it is, 2023, and you got a state agency, you got a federal agency concerned that the state agency is discriminating in 2023. Sad. Nothing new, but really sad. Thanks so much for tuning in today to We Believe Digital Studios and our Newsbreak show. We'll be back with you on Friday at 12 noon. Have a great day. Stay safe out there, and keep an eye on your friends and loved ones.